Hello everyone, and welcome to my first video for Civics. This video is for the Civics class, so if that is the class that you're in for me, this is one that you'll want to watch. Now, if you are in one of my other classes that isn't Civics, you don't have to watch this if you don't want to, but I mean, if this is something that you want to watch, you are more than welcome to do so. So, just as a reminder, while you're watching these videos, the kind of like the idea that I had with these would be that you would have either this video playing and then minimize it so you could still hear me, and then have the PowerPoint up on your screen and then you fill it in as I go along through it, or maybe you could have this video playing on your phone, tablet, or another screen of some sort, and then have the PowerPoint up on your laptop and you fill in the one that has the blanks in it. It'll be in the Schoology listing right next to the link to this video. So that was my idea. So if you could go ahead and, if you don't have it up, go ahead, pause the video here, get it pulled up, get ready, and once you have it all ready to go, press play again. Okay, so this is going to be called Foundations of Government and the Purposes of Government. Now, I will give you a little bit of warning. This first lesson's going to be a little dull, I'm sorry, but the purpose of this is to get you used to the terms and the terminology that we use whenever we are discussing government. You know, that's the same thing whenever you get into anything new, you have to know the terminology. You can't play a guitar if you don't know what a pick is. So you have to know the key terms and the things that go along with talking about government. So, first thing is a question. What is government? Now, this could be, I feel like everybody's going to have a different answer for this, you know. Maybe to you, government is a group of people. Maybe to you, government are the buildings in Washington, D.C. It's the laws. It's, you know, everybody's going to have a different answer to this question. Well, according to the textbook, the definition is formal institutions and processes through which decisions are made for a group of people. Also includes elected officials and public servants who carry out daily government business. So, what is government? It's pretty much everything that I said before. It's the buildings, it's the people, it's the laws, it's the institutions and the processes that are followed in Washington, D.C., and how our government conducts its daily business. Power. One of the essential things for a government is to have power. You know, a government that has no power isn't a government. Now, power, it refers to a government's authority and ability to get things done. And like I said, you know, if a government has no power at all, then it's not a government. A government can't be a government without any authority. And government power comes down to three main forms of power. The first form of power is called the legislative power, and this is the power to make laws. Examples of this in our country are the Senate and the House of Representatives. So if you are a senator or if you are a representative, you are a part of the legislative power of the government. Now, a lot of people don't give this type of power enough credit, in my opinion. You know, whenever you talk to a lot of people, they're going to say, oh, well, who's the most powerful person in the government? And a lot of people are going to say it's the president. I would disagree, and I would say the legislators are a lot more powerful than the president himself. But you know, that's just my opinion. The next power of the government is the judicial power, and this is the power to interpret the laws and settle disputes between members of society. An example of this in the United States is the Supreme Court. And if you've been paying attention to the news recently, we recently lost one of our Supreme Court justices, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was a Supreme Court justice, and she just recently passed away. It's a very sad situation. Ruth Bader Ginsburg did a lot of good for this country, and it's a big loss for our country losing her. But she did an amazing job as a Supreme Court justice. She has done a lot of good for this country, and a very good woman. Power. Once again, the judicial power is the power to interpret the laws and settle disputes between members of society. Now, the Supreme Court is the highest form of this power. Our city and county courts and the more local, lower courts are also the judicial part of the judicial power of the government. The Supreme Court is just the highest part of this government power. Next up is the executive branch of the government, the executive power, and this is power to enforce and administer the law. An example of this is the president. Now, this part of the government, this power, enforces and administers the law. So, further on down in the executive branch of the government, you're going to have the police force. The police force is the part of the executive branch of the government because they enforce the law. Okay, policy. Policy is any decision made by government in pursuit of a goal. Any decision that the government makes can be called a government policy. This can be a law, a program, or a set of actions. You're going to hear this term used a lot whenever candidates are talking about how they feel about different topics. It's like, well, what's your policy on what's your foreign policy? Meaning, how do you plan on interacting with other governments, or what is your policy on this or that? That's means whenever a candidate's talking about their policy, it's what kind of decisions are they going to make in regards to that subject. Okay, characteristics of a state. Now, whenever I say the term state, a lot of you are probably going to think, state, oh, West Virginia. West Virginia is a state. Well, in our country, we have the states, but whenever you're talking about governments like worldwide, the term state in this case does not refer to a state like West Virginia. The term state refers to a nation. I know that's confusing coming from our country, but whenever the term state is used in reference to government, it's referring to the entire country, the entire nation. So I know that's confusing, and I apologize, but that's what it means whenever it uses the term state. There's some key characteristics of a state here. First one is population, and that's the number of people living in the state. If you don't have anybody living there, well, it's not much of a state now, is it? Next up is territory, and that is the land owned by the state. Can you have a state with no territory? No, that doesn't exist. If you don't have any land, you can't really be a state. Government, and that's the political organization. Once again, every state has to have a government. And the last term there is sovereignty. Now, this is probably a term you haven't heard before, or maybe you have. Sovereignty, this refers to a state's independence from outside countries. So, if you think back in United States history, there was a time where we did not have sovereignty. You know, the Revolutionary War was fought for United States sovereignty. Once again, refers to a state's independence from outside countries. Whenever we were a British colony, we did not have sovereignty. We could not make our own decisions. So, whenever the Revolutionary War was fought, it was fought to ensure the sovereignty of our country. Now, this is a big topic. This is a big thing for countries because sovereignty means that, you know, one country can't just order another country around. You know, for instance, let's say that Spain was doing something that the United States didn't like. Now, we can't just command Spain to not do that thing. We can ask them. Spain is an ally of the United States. We could ask them to refrain from doing something, but since Spain has sovereignty, they are a sovereign nation, they have independence from outside countries. Okay guys, that's going to end it for this video. The next video, as you can see on the screen, we will start talking about functions of government. But that's going to be it for this first video. So if you have any questions, if anything I covered there you're still a little confused about, you don't really know, or just wondering, you can either leave it in a comment on this video, send me a message through Schoology, ask me when you see me in person. I want to make sure everybody's getting this. So if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me. You all know my email, and that's going to be it for this. Okay, thanks guys.